So, we're going to go through the energy reconnection session for the whole seven chakras. And, in the course, when we get into each chakra, it's about a 6 or 7 week full course, and this is the introductory session. We actually encourage you to come back and do a little bit of energy reconnection for all of the chakras, even when you're about to start working on just one of them. So, but it's a good session to do at any time, but especially right before and during doing a chakra reading with a deck of cards. So what I'm actually going to have you do before we get started is make sure that you actually have your deck of cards with you, because during this session we will not only be reconnecting to each of our chakra centers, but as we fully feel that chakra center energize and enliven, we are then going to use that opportunity to draw the card in the chakra reading that you will see that corresponds to each of those chakra centers. So really quickly here, let me show you what we are going for. I'm going to bring up an image of the chakra reading itself. And this is what we're going to be laying out, basically, as we go through this chakra energy reconnection session. We will also be laying out 9 cards. And they look like this. So there's a card that corresponds to each of the chakra centers. And you can see respectively the first one we're going to lay out is on the bottom of the reading when we get to those chakras. But before we actually get to the centers themselves, just for the purposes of the readings, we're going to be doing just a little bit of breathing and checking in with our energy body in general. And we're going to then be drawing that card that's marked before over on the left hand side there. We're going to be drawing that one before we really engage in much else. So all we're going to do at first, card deck in hand, and I'll just kind of lead you through this, is we're going to come to sitting upright in a position that the spine feels long and tall and relaxed in. See if you can connect both of your sit bones, and even if you're sitting in a chair or whether you're sitting, I'm actually sitting cross-legged right now, sort of yogi style, on my mat in my reading area, because in my reading area I read cards and do yoga, so the reading area is a mat that I sit cross-legged on the floor, and that's actually my preferred way of always being set up to read cards now. I prefer to be cross-legged on the floor, yogi style, rather than sitting at a table. But when I first started and sitting cross-legged on the floor wasn't entirely comfortable yet, I absolutely did this in a chair. So either way is fine, whatever you want to do. And when you're seated comfortably with an upright spine, just imagine if you can sense your tailbone. Curl that tailbone down so that it is angled to, if it were to extend, it would poke into the floor underneath you and kind of keep going in the direction of the center of the earth. That's how you want your tailbone to be, the end of your tailbone to be aligned when you're sitting, whether you're sitting in a chair or sitting on a rug cross-legged on the floor like I am. That's what your tailbone should be doing. So see if you can move the tailbone so that the tip of the tailbone you can feel is kind of on track, on that line, to connect with the very core of the earth. And from that place, relax your sit bones and see if you might have to adjust your seating position from one leg and one cheek to another until you have something that feels very, very balanced, and both the sit bones have been moved either forward or backward or wherever they feel like the majority of the surface area of that sit bone it is and can be in contact with the ground or the chair underneath it. So the most surface area of your sit bone that you can feel in contact with the ground. That's pretty much how you always want to be sat. It is just the healthiest positioning for your pelvis this way. But also energetically, it does something wonderful in that tailbone connection to the center of that earth, that feeling of earth energy coming into our bodies. It takes place via a few different openings and channel openings and conduits in the body. Another one is the center of the sole of each foot. But when we are sitting, this is where in Eastern pranic medicine studies, we are often told that the earth's energy can actually enter our body through these points. These are the points that we literally can kind of lock in and become part of the energy grid of the planet through. So if it's not too much to ask, see if you can envision that very powerful earth energy coming into your body as you sit locked on the surface of the planet, totally plugged in to the planet's vibrations, the planet's energy grid. And imagine that earth energy literally just being drawn up through your sit bones into your lower body, your pelvis, your lower back, up through your rib cage, drawing your rib cage up to your throat and your shoulders, and up to the crown of the head. And now from that awareness, the crown of your head, go ahead and shuffle your deck of cards as you fully feel for the first time today, perhaps, your energy body in its entirety. And now we're going to go ahead and choose that before card from anywhere in the deck that you're holding and feeling in your hand, any card in that deck that feels like it wants to represent for you your current body, energy state, and your current energy state and life. So you're going to choose that before card at this moment. And when you have that card, and you can take as long as you need to here to find that card. If you need to, you can pause this video even. And when you found that card, go ahead and lay it down in that before position. And you can go ahead and set the card deck down. And then when you're ready, just come back into your energy body awareness and back in to bring your awareness into your energy body. And at the crown of the head, if you can kind of take your hands and just kind of put your fingers at various points on the crown of the head, giving yourself a little scalp massage, feeling all around your scalp with the tips of all of your fingers. You know, if any place on your head feels like it needs a little head rub, or you feel like there's some tension around the edges of one of the plates in the bowl, you know, the skull bones, and it feels like a good idea to give yourself a little fingertip, you know, massage in any place around your skull. Go ahead and do that for yourself now. And same goes for the back of your neck, in your occipital bone area at the base of your at the base of your spine, the base of your skull, your ears, your face. Close your eyes and just get into all of those fine muscles around your head and your face and your skull and your neck and your jaw. All those fine muscles that very, very rarely does anyone ever work on those muscles for you. You know, even massage therapists don't usually get into these fine of muscle groups that we find all around our face and our head. But these muscle groups, even though they're smaller, they get tight and tense too. If you're holding a certain facial expression, if you're in a certain mood for too long, you're going to be holding some muscles and creating tension in your facial muscles. And just like we unwind the rest of the muscle tension in our body through doing a yoga practice or physical activity or getting a massage or taking a bath, we should really be doing a very, very similar set of TLC for our face and our skulls, but we don't. And when you move the energy all the way from the earth up through your body, all the way to the crown of your head, it that energy, you can kind of feel it inside you when you've done that visualization or imagining of that energy. And so then you create that energy, and now that energy is real and it's pulsing and you can feel it inside you. You have to do that within, like, your face and your head and all of that stuff too. All of that area needs to relax and be able to sense the energy of the earth bursting into it, massaging it from the outside and pulsing inside and cleansing and clearing and energizing and empowering, just like it did for every space inside your body. That energy from the earth coming up through your body, clearing, cleansing, energizing, empowering your vibrant inner body, to the point that then you can feel that energy in each of those areas of your body moving dynamically within your body, and you can imagine it coming and kind of spilling over, like a cup spills over with water, spilling over at each of the chakra center areas that you see here. So in this way you can kind of envision the energy from the earth coming up this almost this series of tiered fountains that are the chakra centers within your body, and that energy just kind of exploding up and out and filling up and gushing up and then bubbling up to the next center, and so on and so forth. And so envisioning those chakra centers as those layers of the fountains. Well, the seventh chakra and the sixth chakra and the fifth even, all to do with what is going on inside your head, inside your skull. So as part of this awakening that I like to do and this reconnecting to each of the chakra centers, I also like to do that fine finger massage all over my jaw for myself. I just close my eyes. If you guys are in a room with other people, you just close your eyes. Everyone's invisible then. Sometimes when people are kind of massaging their face or, trying to release their facial muscles, they get very self-conscious. I do. So I just close my eyes. It kind of helps me focus better on what is actually going on with my facial muscles anyway, and not worry about how anything looks, just getting in to wherever it really feels good to give my face and my neck and my skull some loving. So give yourself permission to do that always, because that's how that energy that you sense, like bubbling up from all of those chakra centers below, that's how they have to bubble up into your head and your skull and your ears as well, and everything inside your head. You have to be able to flow energy through that stuff too. And sometimes one of the clearest blocks to someone's intuitive skills is actually something that's going on around their skull and their face and their jaw and their neck. All of these areas that don't get to physically release muscle tension the way that the rest of our body gets to enjoy quite nicely, in a decent yoga massage class usually. So work all of that facial relaxation back in. Give yourself another couple of moments to just really feel that enlivened sense of earth force bubbling up through the open sit bones into each chakra center and kind of spilling over like a fountain and energetically filling and cleansing every inch of your body from the inside out, and just travel that sensation from the earth up through all of the chakra centers, all the way through the heart center and the shoulders and the neck and the throat and the face and the head, all the way to the top of the head. And then at the top of the head, allow it to open at the crown, at the very top of the head. This is the opening to the crown chakra, which is actually, some of it is inside your skull, and some of it is your crown chakra actually expands beyond your skull into the space around your skull. So when you fully activate and enliven the crown chakra, you, in a way, certain people would describe you as some sort of enlightened person, right? When you've really gotten the hang of expanding that crown chakra, because you're actually moving your body energy outside your physical body to the space around your body. So, when you have this, you can see it in a very enlivened, awakened person who's in very vibrant health a lot of the time. And we'll say things like you're glowing, right? Well, when you've really checked in with each of your chakra centers, like you should be pretty checked into them by now, what you're going to do is you're going to get a sense of that glow going on for yourself. You're going to just feel vibrant, enlivened, enlightened. And specifically with the crown chakra, of course, this is what we see in medieval art, right? With the big halos in the religious iconography, the halos around angels' heads and enlightened saints and things as they were becoming enlightened. They often have halos in those ancient pictures. Well, there's a reason for that. If you're a fully awake human being, without any pollution in your environment from cell phone signals and fluoride in your water and chlorine and deadening chemicals and all of this basic toxic attack that Western humans are enduring in their bodies, right? If you were alive, in the 1100s, 1200s, 1300s AD, you didn't have, life was hard, but you were fully alive, I believe, in a way that just energetically many modern day humans just don't get to be. Because in the 1300s, there was no pollution like that. There was no toxicity. People died of plenty of bacteria and viruses, don't get me, but everything was alive, right? There weren't these deadening forces around us like there are today in our modern toxic environments. So just know that, if you're feeling now, after you've just done a little bit of energy work, just the fountains bubbling up from the center of the earth to the crown of the head, just like we just did, and you're feeling a little more alive or pulsating, and you're getting a sense of something that maybe could be your energy body, that you're just getting an awareness of just by sitting here in this position. Imagine if you did this sort of work and your environment wasn't toxic. Imagine if you did this sort of work and you were in peak, vibrant, thriving physical health, which, again, very, very few of us get an opportunity to be in today's world. And a lot of us have sedentary jobs and there's all of this stuff, but really that's what makes this work so vital to humans at this time, in this age, because we've all been told, whether it is through a spiritual teacher, or we've read something, or we've experienced stuff ourselves, we've all basically got the idea that we are living in very, very interesting times, right? Whether you believe, as the Vedic sages do, that we are in the middle of this grand epoch era called the Kali Yuga, right, which is the most challenging time in terms of the global life cycle that spans hundreds of thousands of years, the universal life circle of the universe. The Kali Yuga is, I don't know, 2,000, 8,000, it depends who you talk to, but it's a couple of thousand years, but not hundreds of thousands or millions. And some of the grand cycles that older, more earth-based, spiritual leaders on the planet have been adhering to, it's really a very necessary time, whoever you talk to spiritually, for the human race to awaken in some way. You can even look at Judeo-Christian texts and see that there is supposed to be an awakening, a second coming, and you look at the Mayans and, the whole 2012 thing, whoever you you listen to, pretty much, you get the sense that something big for humanity is supposed to be happening around about nowish, right? And when you don't get scared off about the whole doomsday stuff, because you got to get past that, as a species, if you're just petrified of your own demise, you're going nowhere, essentially. You should be, suitably afraid of death, of course, but, it's always a good idea for an organism to keep itself alive, biologically speaking. So, you need to keep that level of importance to not die going on as a species, but you can't be absolutely petrified of your own species' demise if you have a galactic or a universal perspective on what the human race is doing at this time, right? Because when you're looking at the human race as a collection of, let's just say, souls that have chosen to incarnate on the planet at this time, and you figure, the scary, scary, scary numbers coming up for the next decade, say if we do everything wrong, which we are inclined to do from time to time as a species, let's admit it, we're going to end up with something like 7 to 9 billion of us on this beautiful planet of ours. And we know that that is completely unsustainable for this planet. And we also know that we are completely over-consuming, especially in the West, right? We know these things to be true. No one is arguing those things at this point. And we have collected a very toxic environment around that. Well, again, the toxic environment, it's not good for us individually, and we do need to have a bit of an awareness on that. But at this point, I think most of us have also realized there's an acceptance going on there with our toxic environment. However, at this time, we also know that as a species, we are supposed to be awakening into a very enlightened state in order to move forward as a species in harmony with this planet, a species that it has some major rebalancing work to do on this planet. We need to be our most enlightened selves through this era to get out the other end of this era in the most beautiful condition for both humanity and the planet that we can dream of. We don't want to put too much energy into the fear around how terrible it could get. Because when we look specifically at that, our vibrations literally start to create that. It's important to acknowledge it, it's important to be real, it's important to help, it's important to improve and heal. But it is equally important for humanity at this time to envision the best outcome, the harmonious, enlightened, humanitarian, just the best of the humans going forward in an enlightened space into a new era of harmony and balance and restoration and vibrance and thriving for our planet and our species. That's where we need to get to. And it will be a lot easier for us, essentially, if we can light up our energy bodies to get there. If we can just go back to, if you're experiencing that crown chakra awakening sense at the end of our reconnection just then, right? Just go back and check that out again. Core of the earth all the way through the chakra centers, bubbling around them to the crown of the head. Wow. And you can feel it. You can literally feel, just by putting that much, that tiny little bit of our very untrained, polluted, current human state. We put that much of our current human state's excuse for attention, quote unquote, on our chakra and our energy system, just right there. And you feel so much right away. So can you imagine what that person living in medieval times may have actually felt in their body? We know that our senses have been dulled just by being modern day humans. We have dulled perceptions, we have dulled senses. Our food doesn't taste as flavorful even as our grandparents' food did 100 years ago. We know that for a fact. Imagine 1,000 years ago. Imagine how awake to their senses, including the extra body senses, that medieval human might have been able to be, simply because they were thriving in a world that was in balance and healthy. They had a healthy planet, you know, and they had healthy bodies. So that's really it's something that humans in this era can aspire to. We can all be this healthful and vibrant, that we start feeling more and more and more of our energy bodies, but especially those upper ones, 5, 6, and 7. 5, 6, and 7, after the grounded 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, and 7 are the chakra centers that we are going to especially be developing in order to regain our intuitive senses and our spiritual senses, the senses that have dulled so much in modern humans that many humans actually debate their very existence. They, we have humans today that have become so dead in their upper chakras and their upper senses, their intuitive and extra body senses, that they just don't believe they exist. They don't believe they exist. So it's one of those things that we really, really, really need to have all of our senses about us in order to fully awaken into the next era of humanity, basically. So we have a lot of work to do as a species to wake all of this stuff up, to wake our energy bodies, our pranic bodies up. And along with waking up the pranic body, what you also find is that your intuitive sense wakes up. You have to start at the ground, you have to start at the core, the root experience, the root chakra experiences of the pranic body. And there are many of them, and we'll spend a lot of time in the full course discussing all of them. And then up through the second and the third centers and the fourth. And when you get through with the fourth, wow, the world changes. And then 5, 6, and 7 actually get to happen in a way that it just wasn't even possible for them to awaken and heal before you had done the base work of the base chakras. And you'll find this as you go into this work more and you activate and awaken more. Because you awaken the energy body, you awaken the spiritual and intuitive bodies that much more powerfully. So this is why yoga at this time needed to be brought to the West from the East. The East still had their energy body arts, yoga, tai chi, qigong, all of these energy arts, arts of the energy body, had kind of lost where they had been in the West. We didn't really know what Western energy body arts there were. We'd completely lost them all. Now, whether that was because of, Christianity just coming and kind of smothering the pagan older world religions that came before it, I don't know that for sure. I can't say that. But I have a sneaking suspicion that it may have had something to do with that time. But before Christianity did that, and Christianity has validity too, right? I'm a big student of Christianity and the Kabbalah, and the Vedic traditions, which were around at the same time, right? But before those Christian traditions really took hold in Europe, there were many, many, many more older traditions, more rooted traditions that I would call Gaian traditions, because paganism has such a loaded, It's just such a loaded term to say paganism to someone. But, you know, the Gaian traditions, they were earth-centered, they were rhythm-centered. And this is what we need to restore in ourselves as humans, as Western humans, especially in the West. So they brought yoga from India to the West very, very intentionally because humanity needed to wake up. The Eisenhower administration was actually told to help wake humanity up by bringing some of the best Vedic sages and yogis over to the West to kind of propagate yogic teaching in the West so that it will have had a chance to develop so much by our current era that the West, as well as the East, we are all, as humanity, ready for the coming age, coming changes that are now here with us. So a bit of a tangent there for you, but essentially that's why this work is so important. I'm gonna get back to the cards now, guys, because that was a complete and utter. I didn't realize that teaching was coming through as big time as it just did. So if you let your cards go, pick them back up. We are now going to do our chakra reading. So check back in with your energy body. Bubbling fountains up from the base of the earth all the way up to the crown. And stay in that place very clearly, sitting still, vibrating your energy body. Feeling your energy body as you begin to shuffle your cards. And it doesn't really matter how you choose to shuffle them. I would like you at this time to feel the cards in your hands. Close your eyes. Squeeze the cards. We are so often so out of our energy bodies and our sense bodies in the West, even our physical five senses that we know of. And our eyes do so much. The visual does so much. And the inner world, the world of touch and smell, these things that you can actually take in and receive with other receptors in your body, other than ocular receptors or receptors in your ears for hearing. You know, how's your sense of taste doing right now? just kind of check into all of them as you quietly shuffle the cards. Listen to the sound of the cards as you shuffle them. Smell the air. Relax your jaw and all of those facial muscles. Lift your spine tall. And if you have an awareness of yourself, see if you can locate where that awareness of yourself is in space. And see if that self-awareness sense of where you are in your body. See if you can pull yourself back into your body. If you found that your awareness of who you are is located outside of your physical body, see if you can pull it back into just behind your eyes. And continue to shuffle. So the purpose of this reading, and we'll do this reading for ourselves in this session, because this is an introductory session, but just know that you can do this for clients when you get really adept at it for yourself. You can actually do an energy body reading for a client. We'll do it for ourselves today. So all of that enlivening of the senses that we just did, keep all of that. Inhale. Hold the cards in your hand. And check back in with that root first chakra. First chakra center, the root of the body. Tailbone up through the pelvis. That whole area, the domain of the root chakra. The root chakra governs the sit bones that you are sitting on. It governs your foundation, both physically and figuratively. Allow the earth energy to draw up through the root chakra, washing this area. And see if you can check in with this part of your body. See if you can allow it any freedom of movement which it desires. It might want to move like a plant rooted into the earth, might move like a grass in the wind, swaying one way and then another. It's very often a pattern that I find my root chakra self would like to move in. It's like it's sending down roots and swishing up through those roots. Take a moment to check in with that and see how it feels. And then with the cards in your hand, go through the deck and see if there is one card specifically that seems to be calling you, wanting your attention more than any other card as you check in with your root chakra self. And when you feel that card, allow yourself some time to find it if it isn't completely obvious right away. When you feel that card, go ahead and pick it out of the rest of the deck. And if you can, with your eyes closed, if you need to open your eyes, that's fine. You can set that card face down in front of you in that number 1 position. And whatever card you've turned over, just give it a moment's thought and then come back to the state of just blissful energy-body connection, non-attachment. Now bring your energy awareness back up from the root chakra into the second chakra. The second chakra, often observed as a more fluid chakra, from the space from the front of the pelvis all the way back, from the top of the hips, all the way through the belly area, the lower belly, below the navel. This whole realm in here is the realm of the second chakra, and it is a center of very fine sensual awareness, of procreativity and sexuality, of bliss in the physical body, and it is governed by water more than any of the other chakras. So the water energy, see if you can sense it as a pleasant, cool bubbling over this entire region, just more than any other. This is the fountain chakra. If it wants to move you, kind of like an ocean or a bubbling pool of water, allow it to do so. Breathe into any spots down here that might be painful within this chakra area, and imagine the breath circulating around those spots, bringing it as much comfort and ease as can possibly be had, so that whatever experience you're allowing yourself to have here, allow yourself to focus on the pleasure experiences that you do feel in this center. Many, many people have pleasure and pain going on within the body areas that correspond most to this chakra center. It's one that has been really developed poorly by most people in the West. So just allowing yourself to be with that chakra and just as much pleasure and joy and bubbling fountain comfort and ease you can feel here. And again, bubbling like a brook or a fountain. This is the chakra of immense physical pleasure. and sensuality. So for that chakra now, choose a card. Lay the card down, first face down, and then you can ease your awareness slightly above that chakra center into your eyes, and you can open your eyes and turn that card over. And we're going to do the next chakras here, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, a little more quickly. Just for this brief introductory work, I will just basically tell you the location of the chakra for the next ones. And I will give you some words that are the themes for that chakra center. And I will gong at the beginning and end of the focal point for that chakra. When you hear the second gong, go ahead and turn your awareness to your deck of cards and find the card in the deck that you are holding that feels like the most perfect card to correspond to that chakra area. And then you will hear the gong, you'll be hearing the gong sound, and when you hear the first gong for the next chakra, you should be at the point where you've laid the card down in front of you. Okay, so we'll start with closing chakra 2. You can take a breath, check back into your energy body, and lift your awareness to chakra 3 when you hear this next gong. Chakra 3, the solar plexus chakra, residing at the navel in your body. Shadow archetypes to be healed in this region include the servant archetype, and the functional archetype to develop that emanates from this chakra center is the warrior archetype. This chakra governs self-esteem, self-worth, confidence, decision-making, and personal power. Allow yourself a moment to connect with that chakra, and then turn your attention to the appropriate card to be drawn from your deck for that chakra, and have it laid out in front of you by the time the second gong chime ends. And now checking in again with your energy body. Move your awareness up to the heart chakra. The heart chakra is in the space of your chest and heart. And focus on that area and how it is feeling energetically to you as this gong chimes. And as the next gong chimes, turn your attention to choosing your card for that chakra. And by the time the gong chime ends, have that card laid out in the 4th position. And as this next gong chimes, turn your attention and your focus to the 5th chakra, which is called the throat chakra. It sits in the region of the throat in your body. And see how this chakra center feels. This chakra, the throat chakra, is the domain of truth, communication, integrity, willpower, and creativity. The shadow archetype to be healed at this level is the archetype of the silent child, and the functional archetype to develop and reconnect with is the archetype of the communicator. Focus on energizing and flooding this chakra with positive energy as you choose the card for this chakra center and lay it down in front of you. And now with this next gong chime, having your throat chakra card in the 5th position on the reading, we're now going to turn our energy and awareness to the realm of the brow chakra, the 3rd eye chakra. Bring your awareness to this level and sense how your 3rd eye and brow chakra region is doing on this day. This is the region of the upper skull and the middle skull. From the nose about up to the center of the forehead and all through the skull in that area. That's the domain of the 6th chakra, whose center is said to be the pituitary gland in the middle of the brain. The brow chakra is known as the control center of the body because it is from here that conscious control is mobilized for our physical, emotional, and mental well-being. It is the center of thinking, analysis, discernment, intuition, and wisdom. The shadow archetype to be healed in the center is the intellectual. The functional archetype to develop and connect to is the intuitive. Go ahead and choose your card for this center. And now bringing your awareness up to that crown chakra center and feeling the crown chakra, the enlightened chakra, the aura, halo chakra, spilling out from the crown of your head and sort of motioning like a fountain, bubbling out the top of your head, connecting you to the center of the universe. The crown chakra embodies the summit of beauty, refinement, and spirituality that we can experience in our lives. The function of the crown chakra is to open us to the light of spirit, which is eternally connected to the source. Choose your card for this chakra and lay it out. And now with this next gong chime, go ahead and hold all of the cards in your hands again, and you can shuffle them a little bit and sense the state of your entire chakra body now that you have really connected with it. You had a different awareness for the before era of this reading, and now we're going to lay down the after card. So what this card is going to tell you about is what you're kind of coming up on now that you are in the the end of this reading. You know, what is immediately happening now that is going to be the major next thing for you and your energy body. So go ahead and fully sense, you know, your connection to the earth, the spilling over from the tears of the fountains all up through the entire chakra body again, your physical body, the crown of the head, the connection to the center of the universe from the top of the head lifting. Shuffle the cards, and while this gong chimes, go ahead and choose that after card for the state that basically you're moving forward in now. What's coming up next for you? And when you're ready, turn it over and place it down. Okay, guys, so you have just completed a full chakra reconnection session. I sat you through a little bit of a lecture there in the middle somewhere, I think, and you've been led and guided through laying out your own basic chakra reading for yourself. So coming out of this now, take your time, like you would coming out of any meditation or yoga practice. Take your time just for the next few minutes, kind of adjusting your body, getting comfortable. If you want to get out of this seated position and into a more comfortable position for learning as a student, the next portion of this introductory workshop is going to be pretty much, you know, student work that you could do at a chair, on a couch, you know, at a desk, or if you're comfortable with pen and paper and things, to kind of be in that mode on your yoga mat. You could do that too. I very often just kind of pull up a pen and paper to my mat and hang out on the ground, but you totally have the choice to be in student mode and take a break right now and set yourself up for the next part, where we're going to be basically taking your reading. We'll talk a little bit about the interpretation of the reading that you've now got in front of you in the next section.